Welcome to Mormon Book Reviews, where an evangelical encounters the restoration. So I've been looking forward to doing this review for a while because this is a gentleman that I actually spoke to before I produced my very first video. We got to be fast friends and had some really good conversations with each other. This gentleman is affiliated with the Independent Restoration branches based in Independence, Missouri. To give you a little background on that movement, but basically the RLDS in the mid-80s started becoming more liberal and more like a mainline Protestant denomination. And there were people within that movement that were kind of concerned about that direction. So they started breaking off from the RLDS, which is now the Community of Christ, and formed these branches called Restoration branches. Now, since that time, some of these restoration branches have coalesced around a prophet. Others have chosen to remain independent. Well, Patrick, the author of this book, is part of the independent restoration movement. The book that he wrote was Healing the Breach: Mormonism, Metaphors, and the Pieces of the Puzzle. And this is a very interesting book because Patrick, even though he's with a group that split off, his heart's desire that he's been doing for decades now is to bring unity to the restoration, unity to all the believers of the Book of Mormon. He feels this is a very important thing to actually help Zion occur in his belief system. And so he recognizes that there had been divisions within the restoration, and he wrote this book to kind of bring about a message of unity within Mormonism and the restoration. It's a beautiful book. It's a very Pentecostal book. I think if a Pentecostal picked up this book, they would feel comfortable with what they would be reading. There are stories of healings, there's stories of people speaking in tongues, and the movement of the Holy Spirit. And Patrick's a firm believer in the baptism of the Holy Spirit and the gifts of the Spirit. And when I had that conversation with him on the phone, within 5 minutes, we started talking about spiritual things. And that actually, quite frankly, changed the trajectory of this channel. Originally, I wanted to do more of a scholarly, secular approach. But once I started talking to him, it just kind of, something inside of me told me, okay, this is different. This is going to be a different channel than I anticipated. And it has a lot to do with Patrick. And so he sent me this book and asked me to read it. And so I did. And I also have an interview scheduled with him, which I'll be releasing soon. And I have to tell you, when I read through this book, like I said, a lot of interesting things and very familiar. I feel like there's a Pentecostal within my tradition or a charismatic could have written a book like this. And he just gives all these different instances of different miracles that happen. And what he does is he actually does like a metaphor at the beginning of each chapter. And then he gives 2 or 3 people, like somebody from the Church of Jesus Christ, which is the Pentecostal branch, and another person from the RLDS. Some of these are people that are alive now. Some of these are people that, were from the 1800s. He has President Nelson in here, quotes from him. Most of them are just, little paragraphs. But it's just a very interesting way of doing a book, and I really like what he's done. Patrick is a man who's looking for unity and bridge building within his movement. And quite frankly, as a Protestant, as an evangelical, I can say the same thing. We need unity and bridge building in our movement amongst our own churches, but also with other believers and other groups that we may or may not consider to be Christian. But we need to start building bridges because that can bring unity and bring a peace, and it would help us honor the Prince of Peace if we could do something like that. So here's my official review of Healing the Breach: Mormonism, Metaphors, and the Pieces of the Puzzle. Patrick McKay is an important leader in the Restorationist movement. He is a humble, tender-hearted man who exhibits the fruit of the Spirit. This book is very reflective of the person he is. While he understands why there are breaches in the restoration, it has become his life's mission to help facilitate dialogue and healing amongst his people. This book is a collective symphony of the various voices of this religious expression. Patrick is a bridge builder who loves Christ, and we evangelicals need to make an allowance that the Holy Spirit can operate wherever it chooses to. I give this book 5 out of 5 stars. So, I want you to like and subscribe. I'm going to provide a link in the description to this book so you can purchase it. I just want to thank everybody for your support and feedback. It's been awesome. Got a bunch of more reviews down the road. Got a bunch of interviews. It's just a very exciting time for our channel. Thanks again for all your support. You have yourself a great day.